So the prevailing narrative, I mean, you probably don't need to hear some quotes from some people, but or some of the main role players in this situation to know that Russia evil, they did this, don't ask questions, no sort of, any sort of conflicting information is out there. Just believe it today. Zelensky has been saying that Russia's committing genocide in this country. These are war crimes. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says that these are indiscriminate attacks and it can't be normalized. The UN's Michelle Bachelet, has called these things war crimes. U.S. Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield is actually trying to get Russia kicked off of the UN Human Rights Council, which, setting everything else aside about the story, just as a matter of tactics and optics, that's probably not the best thing to do. If you
try that with your wife. Try that with your wife.
I don't like what you did, honey. Now you don't get to defend yourself. I'm not going to talk
to you anymore. See how your life goes.
And that just makes no sense, right? Because if we're to believe the other things they say about Putin and Russia, they're deranged, they're psychotic, they're acting irrationally, whatever. I think the last thing you want to do to that individual is back them further into the corner, give them less options for any sort of resolution that doesn't involve thermonuclear annihilation, and just say, we don't want to hear what you have to say about this story. You're kicked off the council. We're going to pass judgment, and, whatever will be, will be. Doesn't seem like the best look for the United States or other Western nations that allegedly want to see this thing come to a conclusion.
What does an animal naturally do when it's cornered?
Yeah. It lashes out.
All right, guys, you got me. All right, let's do whatever you were wanting to do anyway.
Now, the Russian response, very short and simple, but we're just going to quote Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who says that Bucha was faked by Ukrainian forces and with the intent to provoke a response, a further anti-Russian response than is already out there. All seems pretty straightforward, right?
Sure.
The narrative is neatly packaged, got a little bow on top. It's very simple. Just accept it and don't question, citizen. There's no gray area to observe here whatsoever, and the Russians dispute it. Now, before we get into actually defining what a war crime is, because that's being thrown around a lot, Biden has called Putin a war criminal for these actions. And again, to be clear, as we'll get into in a second, they are war crimes, if, as the story goes, is completely true. But this isn't the first time that Biden has called Putin a war criminal, because there was an alleged, again, Russian bombing of a maternity ward outside of Mariupol, which happened, in early March, I believe it was, early March. We'll have the dates later. Early March, where Biden says that he was a war criminal then, says he's a war criminal now. And his national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, had this little tidbit, which I think is very illuminating, had this to say.
Is even before the invasion happened, we shared information with the public, with the press, including from this podium, that Russia was intending, as a matter of policy, not as a matter of one guy in a unit in a suburb of Kyiv, but as a matter of policy in this war, to kill dissidents, to kill those who caused problems for the occupation, and to impose a reign of terror across occupied territories within Ukraine. That is what we are seeing play out. So no, we do not believe that this is just a random accident or the rogue act of a particular individual. We believe that this was part of the plan. We declared it from this podium as part of the plan, and now we're seeing it play out in real life in living color in these terrible, tragic images we are seeing come from Bucha.
It's pretty...
so he went into Ukraine specifically to do that.
Yeah, that's what he wanted to do.
That's what it was.
All of Putin's posturing is just that. It's posturing. What he's really out to do is just indiscriminately execute Ukrainians left, right, and center. Now, the reason why that particular quote from National Security Advisor Sullivan is so not illuminating, but it's something that we want when you read through these. And keep in mind, everything we just told you is synthesized from mainstream CBS and NBC articles, which again, on the show notes page, wmdpodcast.com/89, you will be able to see all the articles and watch the videos that we did to put this show together. So you can reach maybe the same conclusion as us, a different one, reserve judgment until you have more facts, everything in between. But when you read stuff like that from Sullivan, how the other guy is always evil and never has any other sort of benevolent motives. He doesn't make accidents. Everything's intentional. The atrocities are always intentional.
You know what
Remember
makes me,
that.
Dane? You know what it makes me?
What does it
It
mean?
makes me so happy that I'm American and I can know that we've never done anything like this ever, ever, ever in our history.
A steaming bowl of foreshadowing you're laying down.
A stinky, steaming, huge
So
foreshadowing.